Jordan Mailata, the Eagles going for a little international flavor to close out the 2018 NFL Draft. Can you give us any insight into the Eagles' research into this rugby prospect who is now a Philadelphia Eagle?
Well, I know that, listen, the kid has been training in the United States, the Eagles scouting everybody. You watch the highlights of his rugby days in Australia, clearly a great athlete, amazing size, and those are what you look for. Those are some of the attributes you look for. Look, they brought Taylor Hart back, former defensive tackle, playing offensive tackle. So initially you're looking for that athletic ability. It's obviously going to take a bit of work to find out if he can play football. You've got to get him into the country. You've got to get him here to stay, to train, to do all that. Eagles have been working to trade up for a little bit here, not just this last pick. They've been working for a while to get up in the 7th round again, giving up a 7th round pick at the end of this draft and then a 7th round pick next year as well. And if you want to know the classic definition of a developmental prospect, this young man is the classic definition, but tremendous athlete. And you can work with that kind of player. It's just a matter of how long does it take to work with him? Can you put him on the practice squad? What will it be like in a live game situation? The nuances of the game are obviously new to him. But I know that he's been in Florida training at IMG. They got to get the visa situation all straightened out. And when the pick was announced on the NFL Network, everybody gave a standing ovation to conclude this 2018 draft in the draft room. At the same time, the Eagles are working on contacts, signing players, getting players to talk about what they want to do if they are not drafted. Very fertile ground here. We've seen the Eagles have great success after the draft, and they hope to continue that this year.
Does this show, Dave, just how important the lines of scrimmage are in the game of football, with the Eagles willing to take a 7th round pick and select someone who's never played a down of football to try to convert him and make him into a possible player down the road?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's 90 players on a roster. You don't take any of these positions lightly. There are no throwaway roster positions, and the Eagles pour a lot of resources into every part of this scouting process. And one of those processes, one of the ways you do it is you go find players that are off the grid. Jordan Mailata is as far off the grid as you can possibly be, and the Eagles see a tremendous athlete that they will try to mold into an NFL offensive lineman. It's going to be a project, and I can just see Jeff Stoutland really digging in here and enjoying working with this young man.
Dave, you brought up earlier the process of the undrafted free agency beginning, and usually what you see here at this stage in the draft is, teams are trying to select guys that they feel, we need to make sure that this guy does not reach undrafted free agency. What does that tell you that this team not only selected him before we got to that stage, but they traded up, gave up a future pick to make sure that they secured his services?
Yeah, so I mean, there's clearly a lot of interest in Mailata and in working with him and bringing him in and seeing what he can do. So it is not a flyer in a sense. The Eagles have done their homework here. I'll be interested to hear what Howie and Joe Douglas have to say about this, and when we get a chance to look at him, just how raw he is. I'm sure the Eagles, look, you're right, friend. They made an investment here to get up in the 7th round to get him. So they obviously feel that there is a lot to work with.
Dave, I understand they're still going to have to start going through the rookie free agent process, but right now the draft class sits at 5 players. Just big picture in terms of what the Eagles were able to accomplish over the last couple days, making a trade to get a 2019 second-round pick from the Ravens and selecting these 5 new Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, look, you look at the draft and you see that there are players here who have a chance to contribute right away. I think that everybody believes that Dallas Goedert will be on the field early in his career. I believe that we will have a chance to see Maddox on the field as a slot cornerback. They are very high on him. Had a few words with Corey Unlin, the defensive backs coach, and he was thrilled to get Maddox. We'll see about the rest of this draft. To me, the rest of this draft is more on the developmental side as you look down the line here. This Eagles roster in good shape. And remember what I said before the draft here today, Chris. The Eagles will still look around the league free agents, players who are no longer on this roster who might come back to this roster. There are still areas that you look at. No safety was drafted. No running back was drafted. No wide receiver was drafted. Those are positions I would expect the Eagles to address either in free agency or after the draft with some rookies.